Okay. I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's happening.
Hi everybody, I got a couple of questions about how to present using YouTube screencast. So what I'd like you to do is to create a PowerPoint. You can also use other slide presentation software. You can use Google Slides. You can use what's that one that turns around all over the place? Anyway, the one that turns around, there's other ways to create your slides than PowerPoint, but it's a good one, it works. So go ahead and create your presentation. Okay. And, teach us what you want to share in your PowerPoint presentation. And then what you can do is, click to do the slideshow and present it from the beginning, right there on your PowerPoint, for example. All right. And then you can go to YouTube. So just simply go to youtube.com and go to YouTube. Oops, click the wrong thing. All right, nevertheless, go to YouTube and click on the button on the upper right called Upload. Okay? And then what you're going to do is click on the button that says Go Live. Maybe if I try this. Okay, here's what you're going to see when you click the Upload button. It does kind of want you to be logged in to Google. All right. Usually people have a Gmail or some kind of email in Google that Google knows about. All right. So if you have a trouble with that, if you don't like telling Google who you are, try to create something that you're not going to use again or just use for YouTube videos that you make. And maybe that would work. There's other ways to do screencasts as well. So you can Google how to do those. There's something called screencast.com that works and other things like that. Okay. So we're doing this on YouTube. This is one way to do it. And so what you're going to do is go to this thing called live streaming, click Get Started, and click Go Live. You can also click, actually, this one might be a little bit better. You can click this button, Schedule an Event. So if you do the Schedule an Event, okay, then you type in the title of your presentation right here.
She's fucking driving me crazy.
All right, you type that in right there, and then you simply click Go Live Now. And this will, if you have the default is unlisted, that means that people won't know, or they won't be notified that your video is out there on the interwebs, okay? It will simply be that you'll be able to paste a link in for us to see it. If it's public, it's a little bit more put out there. People will be able to find it and know about it. Now, if it's private, you won't be able to share it with us at all. It'll just be for you alone. So that won't work for us, but unlisted is the perfect setting for this. And then you're going to click Go Live Now. Go Live Now. And simply follow the prompts on the screen after that.
Right.
What you're going to do, let me see if I can show you without stopping the video I'm already doing. You're going to see something like this. Try not to look at the screens going crazy here, just because I'm already recording for you. But you're going to pull up this screen. It says, we allow your camera, we allow your audio. Just click allow. And then what you're going to do is mouse over the left-hand side to this button that's green with an arrow over it. Click screen share. Click screen share and okay, yes, go, let's start. Great. All right, and you'll start to be able to record what is on your screen. You can actually click on, one program or one monitor if you have multiple monitors. So there's different ways to share your screen, but basically just share the whole screen, and that's the easiest way. And then click on your presentation and click to start presenting it. And that's how you present using a screencast using YouTube. So thank you so much for listening. Please ask me any questions anytime.
Okay, so there's my screen right there. So then I'm going to hit upload. Okay, the art of persuasion, influential theories of persuasion. Persuasion is the art of influencing people to do what we want them to do. We use persuasion in our everyday lives to get what we want. Teenagers try to persuade their parents to drive the car. Parents try to persuade their kids to clean their room or do chores. Job applicants try to persuade employers to give them a job, etc. In the marketing industry, companies use persuasion to convince consumers to buy their products or services. We don't threaten people to get them to do what we want. Instead, we try to convince them to do what we want. There are only a few basic choices to get people to cooperate. Apathy is ignoring your wants or needs or hoping others will notice what you want and comply with your wishes. And this is not an effective choice. Coercion is forcing, using violence or threats to get your own way, not recommended. And persuasion is far more likely to be successful than apathy and will not cause others to dislike us or retaliate, which usually happens with coercion. Persuasion is the best way to get the cooperation from others in achieving our goal. Although it can be abused, it is usually better than the other alternatives. The nature of attitudes. An attitude is a form of thought that is formed through experience and influences our behavior. The fact that attitudes are formed through experience means that we can change them and use persuasion to achieve our goals. Understanding the nature of attitudes can help you understand how to persuade someone. For example, suppose one of your friends likes Donald Trump and you want to change that attitude. Knowing that your friend's beliefs and values can help change their attitude. Their belief is Donald Trump has experience in foreign policy, and their value is that experience in foreign policy is desirable in a president. Okay, so you're trying to change either their belief or their value. So say that you can't change their belief. Donald Trump has experience in foreign policy. Then you could maybe try to change their value and convince them that too much experience in foreign policy can hurt a president. Now, changing their belief I think would be easier, because you could argue that Donald Trump has never held public office. Therefore, of course, he has no political experience in foreign policy. But changing their value could be the other way, just saying that too much experience in foreign policy can hurt a president. You can change that person's attitude by changing either the belief or the value, but not both. Persuasion is a process made up of 4 basic parts: the source, persuader, who wants something they do not already have; goals that they seek; occurs through messages directed to the listener to help achieve the goal; and messages are aimed at the audience who can help the persuader accomplish their goal. There are 7 influential theories of persuasion: the Yale approach, congruity theory, cognitive dissonance theory, social judgment/involvement, information integration theory, theory of reasoned action, elaboration likelihood model, ELM. The Yale approach. This approach tests variables that might influence comprehension, acceptance, and retention of persuasive messages. This model was developed by William McGuire in 1968. Presentation, attention, comprehension, yielding, retention, behavior. McGuire's model is defined in the following ways. Presentation is the persuasion message. Attention is the reasoning that people cannot be persuaded by messages they can ignore. Comprehension is the reasoning that the audience must understand the message before it can influence their attitudes. Yielding is McGuire's term for acceptance, the point at which the attitude change occurs. Retention is how long the attitude change lasts, and behavior is considered to be the ultimate goal of persuasion. So then we have the cognitive dissonance theory, another form of consistency theory developed by Leon Festinger in 1957. Argues that there are 3 possible relationships among our thoughts and ideas: consonance, 2 consistent ideas; dissonance, 2 inconsistent ideas; and irrelevance, 2 completely unconnected ideas. Example of consonance, which is consistent: I like Barry Manilow. Barry Manilow is the greatest singer ever. An example of dissonance, inconsistent, would be I drink alcohol. Alcohol can cause bad accidents, a bad liver, and depression. Example of irrelevant to unconnected ideas is Barry Manilow is the greatest singer ever, and alcohol can cause bad accidents, a bad liver, and depression. Social judgment/involvement theory. It's a theory of attitude change developed by Muzafer Sharif and Carl Hovland, different from other consistency theories for 2 reasons. It's a model of judgment, meaning it declares the audience judges a message and how much the message agrees or disagrees with their own attitude. Holds that how important a topic is to the listener is an important factor in attitude change. Information integration theory is developed by Norman Anderson, and this theory explores how attitudes are formed and changed through the mixing of new information with existing information, and each relevant piece of information has 2 qualities: value and weight. The value is its evaluation, good or bad, and the weight is the perceived importance of the information. Example, Morgan tells Macy that Dalton just bought a Jeep. The value is whether or not Macy likes Jeeps. The weight is how much Dalton's choice of vehicles matters to Macy. If it does matter and she likes Jeeps, then she thinks he made a good choice, and this information makes Macy have a good attitude towards Dalton. And he may even be able to persuade her to go out on a date with him in it. If Macy doesn't care what he drives, it makes no difference, holds no weight that he bought a Jeep. Then we have the theory of reasoned action, developed by Martin Fishbein and Isaac Ozan as an improvement over information integration theory. There are two important changes. One, reasoned action predicts behavioral intention, and two, uses attitudes and norms to predict behavioral intent. An example of reasoned action predicting behavior is our attitude leads us to want to go shopping, but we have no money. Our lack of money will prevent us from going shopping. Therefore, reasoned action predicts behavioral intention. Example of using attitudes and norms to predict behavioral intent. Pete's attitude may encourage him to read a Dave Ramsey book, but his friends may think that book is stupid. Does Pete do what his attitude suggests and read the book, or what the norms of his friends suggest and not read the book? Reasoned action predicts that behavioral intent is created by two factors, our attitudes and our norms. Therefore, we have several choices for trying to persuade someone using this theory. Strengthen the belief of an attitude that supports the persuasive goal. Strengthen the evaluation of an attitude that supports the persuasive goal. Weaken the belief of an attitude that opposes the persuasive goal. Weaken the evaluation that supports the persuasive goal. Create a new attitude with a belief strength that supports the persuasive goal, and remind the listener of a forgotten attitude that supports the persuasive goal. Elaboration Likelihood Model, ELM, developed by Petty and Cacioppo in 1986. This model states that there are two routes to persuasion, central and peripheral. The central route consists of a thoughtful consideration of the ideas of the message and can only occur when the receiver has both the motivation and the ability to think about the message and its topic. The peripheral route is when the listener decides whether or not to agree with the message based on other cues besides the strength of the ideas in the message. Examples are, a listener may decide to agree with the message because the source appears to be an expert or is attractive. Also occurs when the listener is persuaded because he or she notices there are many arguments but lacks the ability or motivation to think about them individually. In other words, they don't want to or can't think carefully about the idea, but will agree with the message if the source appears to be an expert on the subject. And that covers all the theories. The next two slides are just the references I used in this presentation, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much. I have no idea.